There's a global collaborative partnership to mitigate the impact of climate change on our daily living. The solutions range from adopting global policies to reduce emissions to using artificial intelligence in climate science research. On the international level, Jamaica has been championing the call for more climate change financing for small island developing states, SIDS. On the island, the government continues to ramp up tree planting efforts with 2.7 million trees planted so far. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. Let's get right into today's show after this quick break. Stay with us.
The public sector touches the life of every single Jamaican. And that is why the government is transforming the way the public sector operates by making better use of technology to improve the delivery of public services, by improving the compensation of public sector workers to attract and retain the skills needed to run a modern and efficient public service, through the training of workers to drive performance, innovation, and decision-making, by reducing waste and eliminating corruption, and other measures to make sure the country gets the best value from every dollar spent. The government of Jamaica is building a better public sector for all.
Good day, I'm Edwin Atkinson, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, October 11, 2023. An additional $200 million has been allocated for government's dengue mitigation program. Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave the update in Parliament on Tuesday, explaining that it's for a complementary program targeting schools, households and communities across the island. It is being funded by the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Tourism Enhancement Fund and the Ministry of Education. $70 million will be allocated through the Ministry of Education for the clearing of school grounds. This will be done in collaboration with the National Solid Waste Management Authority.
We have had several complaints of schools that are literally overtaken by mosquitoes, and so we're giving a strategic response with making that allocation.
Each constituency will be given $2 million to carry out a community cleanup campaign focusing mainly on the removal of bulky waste. The Prime Minister says consideration may be given to the debushing of open lots.
The allocation of these resources targeted at communities and households, it is specifically because whilst the Ministry of Health can pull certain levers, the fogging, the targeting of gullies and drains, but we really have to enlist the household in the fight against dengue.
An amount of $331 million was allocated by the Ministry of Health last week to undertake a major mitigation program to control the dengue outbreak being experienced by the country. Jamaica and the European Union have launched a €9.5 million program to advance digital integration in various sectors. The exchange of documents took place on Tuesday for the initiative dubbed Digital Jamaica. The program will be implemented by the Office of the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Education and Youth, and the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. It will connect Jamaicans through high-speed internet, support the installation of Wi-Fi networks in schools, and the training of students and teachers in digital skills. Support will be provided to micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, to adopt technological solutions. It is expected that the program will facilitate greater use of digital tools to further bridge the divide and equip young people with the skills needed to succeed in the future. Minister with Oversight for Skills and Digital Transformation, Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, hails the program as a beacon of change and development. She says a population equipped with digital skills is better poised for innovation, more competitive in the global arena, and likely to attract more investors.
The initiative aims not to only transform the technological landscape of Jamaica, but to empower our citizens by enhancing access to information, promoting digital literacy, and fostering innovation and entrepreneurship.
Deputy Secretary General for Economic and Global Affairs at the EU, Helena Koenig, says Digital Jamaica is the first concrete grant-funded multi-sector program of support to the island's digital transformation agenda post-COVID-19.
Digital Jamaica represents a well-packaged program of support to key challenges identified by Jamaica as imperative to address over the next 4 years.
The government has approved a 19% fare increase for bus and taxi transport operators, which takes effect this Sunday. There will be no change in fares for the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, and Montego Bay Metro. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz made the announcement in Parliament on Tuesday. He says the recently formed Public Transport Operators Steering Committee ensured that the fare adjustment was equitable. The increase is staggered, with the second phase of fare adjustment to take effect in April 2024 with a 16% increase.
That was done, Madam Speaker, because we are cognizant of, obviously, the impact, an inflationary impact of transportation. And therefore, it was a consensus that we wanted to see how best we could cushion this and, of course, allow for the new financial year and the Minister of Finance to take this into consideration ahead of time of the 24-25 budget.
He says additional work is being done by the steering committee to resolve other issues in the sector.
These issues include the lamentable condition of the transportation infrastructure throughout the island, enforcement matters, and the state of road markings and signage. I am very serious about creating a public transportation system we can all be proud of.
The Bail Act 2023, which will reform the country's bail framework in the criminal justice system, was passed in the Senate on Friday. The legislation will repeal and replace the existing Act of 2000. It extends the consideration for bail from 24 hours to 48 hours to allow for administrative matters to be taken into account. The new law will permit the granting of bail at 3 stages. There is the pre-charge stage, which is before a person is formally charged, but after being arrested or detained. Then there's the post-charge stage. This is after a person has been charged, but before being convicted. And finally is the post-conviction stage. This is when a bail is granted after being convicted, but where you have appealed and were on bail before. Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, who piloted the legislation, says the amendments represent an overhaul following a thorough review.
Not only the existing law and the past law, but with the following considerations also firmly before us. Internationally accepted best practices, changes which have taken place in our society, and the unavoidable scale and characteristics of criminal conduct in Jamaica.
Opposition Senator Donna Scott Motley says the bill had evolved significantly from where it started.
Every effort was made to ensure that as far as possible, this act would meet the intention of the policy decisions which the government had made, that it would be just, that it would be fair, that there was a delicate balance between the rights of a citizen and the freedom which the rest of us seek.
And finally, today is being celebrated as the inaugural observance of Paul Bogle Day, which is to be an annual designation. The day marks the anniversary of the Morant Bay Rebellion, October 11, 1865, when Paul Bogle led a march from Stonygot to Morant Bay in protest of inequality and economic conditions affecting the people of St. Thomas and Jamaica in general. The proclamation was issued by Governor-General Sir Patrick Allen in response to a request from the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange. Minister Grange made the announcement in the House of Representatives yesterday.
I'm pleased to be able to proclaim Paul Bogle Day, even as some of the dreams of Paul Bogle for better working and livable conditions of the people of St. Thomas are coming to pass.
Minister Grange says a story is being told that the Jamaica House of Assembly passed a resolution in 1865 to punish the people of St. Thomas for their action, determined that the parish would see very little development. She says development plans by the government will change this.
Very soon, the people of St. Thomas will have greater access to the commercial center of our country by way of a new highway. And further, also the development of the Morant Bay Courthouse into a modern museum. This will no doubt enhance the quality of life for the people of St. Thomas going forward.
The observation falls within Heritage Week, being celebrated from Sunday, October 8 to National Heroes Day, Monday, October 16. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
One area of environmental stewardship that the government and its stakeholders are partnering to address is the protection of Jamaica's watersheds. Learn more about the vital role our watersheds play in the long-term sustainable development of the island in this next feature.
Jamaica, the land of wood and water. Preserving the rich history of our island's natural bounty is centered on the core ideal of sustainability. So, with every precious drop of rainfall harvested into the beautiful canopy of the island, increasing the urgency to safeguard our water sources is everyone's responsibility. An area of land that allows for the drainage of rainwater into a common place like a pond or river is known as a watershed. Now, you may live near a river or drink the water from a bottle, but how much do you know about watersheds and their life-giving role? There are over 100 rivers making up Jamaica's watersheds. These rivers are critical resources to the ecosystem of the land, while empowering our economy. The National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA manages Jamaica's 26 watershed management units WMUs in partnership with key governmental agencies such as the Rural Agricultural Development Authority RADA, the Forestry Department, the Water Resources Authority and other partners. There is one major factor to note in the protection of watersheds, and it's the delicate balance of the communities who earn a living from these areas through agriculture.
So we try to take a bottom-up approach to watershed management. Now that will involve liaising with the communities, getting their inputs prior to going into any given watershed with any intervention. You have to do what we consider to be an assessment of the needs of the community, separate and apart from an assessment of the needs of the watershed prior to going in and doing our interventions.
This approach forms part of the integrated watershed and coastal area management model, which takes into consideration the community's views. Under the Watersheds Protection Act of 1963, watershed areas are declared and regulated to conserve the water resources, while allowing residents to gain from popular land economic activities such as farming.
You do have complementary acts that would speak to watershed management. So you have, for example, the RADA Act of 1990 that will allow for the use of extension services, which translate into watershed management as the use of sustainable land management practices with the farmers.
There are 7 other pieces of legislation that support the Major Watersheds Protection Act. Finding the balance between benefiting from the resources in watersheds and preventing its degradation is continuous work by the environmental authorities. In 2015, a $3.9 million Yalas Hope Watershed Restoration Project was launched as a joint initiative between the government and the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB. The Yalas and Hope River watershed supply 40% of the drinking water in the densely populated urban parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew.
We would have trained under that project over 5,000 farmers in sustainable land management. And then we would have also did quite a number of studies. We'd have done some replanting in the area. We'd have replanted over 500 hectares.
A major initiative from the Yalas Hope River Restoration Project was the use of a Payment for Ecosystem Services scheme, designed to give an incentive to farmers who rely less on the watersheds.
At the end of that project, we would have, through modeling, showed that we have seen a reduction in about 8% of sediments coming down out of that watershed, and that's a conservative estimate. It goes up to 17% when you factor in the interventions that were done by our partners in these watersheds.
NEPA also established a Yallas and Hope River Watershed Management Committee to ensure that these results continue. Jamaica's international ranking as a strong and actions-based driver of environmental protection is steadily growing. A Jamaican Path from Hills to Ocean project is the latest initiative to restore 3 major watersheds across the island in the next 5 years. The $1.05 billion Jamaican dollar project is a joint partnership between the government and the European Union, executed by the Planning Institute of Jamaica in support of NEPA and RADA.
So the rapid ecological assessment is expected to inform some of the project activities that will help with the RADA-led components in identifying some areas that will be prioritized for intervention. And those priorities will be for trainings for farmers and other techniques that would help with the overall watershed management. The Cassiton Botanical Garden is one particular location within one of the watershed management units that would benefit mostly from some of these activities.
Work will also be done on 2 wetland ecosystems, Winds Morass in Trelawney and the Mason River Protected Area on the border of St. Anne and Clarendon.
And those activities would help with the overall preservation and conservation of those 2 wetland areas to stem or kind of address some of the challenges we are currently facing with issues of encroachment or solid waste deposits, and also the general sensitization through the use of signage and public education.
The project will also flow into the protection of Jamaica's marine life.
So the assessment of seagrass, the health and distribution of seagrass beds within the Ocherius Marine Park and the Helsha, Half Moon Bay area will also be assessed, so we can see if the activities implemented over the 5-year period would have helped with the health or the general health of the marine environment in these areas.
Don't waste water. Turn on your tap at half blast. Plant a tree. The more, the better. Do not litter. Proper waste disposal prevents your garbage from getting into our rivers and streams. Be environmentally friendly. Get involved and help protect the earth. The work to protect our watersheds aligns with Jamaica's signatory to the Paris Agreement on Climate Change to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Equivalently, our Vision 2030 national plan also prioritizes balancing sustainable use of the environment and reducing poverty. Through climate-smart steps to better use the lands and the hills of our watersheds and reduce the degradation of our coastlines, the value of protecting Jamaica's watersheds today will pay the price for securing the future of the island.
Keep that smile on their faces and preserve their innocence. Cherish the moments you have with them and create the best memories. Let's inspire our children to dream big and work hard to achieve all they aspire to be. Take the time to listen to our children and really hear their side of the story. Our children deserve love and the right to access their basic needs. Do your part and protect our children.
We move now to eco-friendly innovations in our public transportation sector. I'm talking specifically about the electric bus that's making the rounds in the Jamaica Urban Transit Company's fleet. Check it out.
It's the first electric bus or e-bus in the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC's fleet. The electric bus pilot program was rolled out on April 18, 2023 to test its performance on Jamaican roadways and determine the use of electric buses in the future of public transportation. We visited the JUTC's Spanish Town depot to learn more about the electric bus and experience the ride. The use of electric buses form part of the government's push to incorporate environmentally friendly technology in the public transportation system.
The government is moving very quickly to integrate new technologies into the operation of the JUTC's fleet because it gives us two critical advantages. One, the environmental and climate change advantages, which we have commitments for, but it improves the bottom line of the JUTC.
Electric buses are known for zero to low emission of toxic carbon gases. This advantage supports Jamaica's pledge to the United Nations climate change goal to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Managing Director of the JUTC, Paul Abrams, says the pilot program will be used to determine the way forward on reducing JUTC's carbon footprint.
We are hoping that should the pilot be successful and we are able to measure the emissions, that it's successful and it's beneficial, then yes, I think that the pilot will definitely show us a way forward.
Mr. Abrams says the testing of e-buses is also a good sign for the future of electric vehicles generally in Jamaica.
Electric mobility is something that is worldwide, and we feel that time has come for it to be introduced to Jamaica. JUTC is basically a platform where a lot of mobility, CNG, biodiesel, etc., are all tested. So we really are the platform for a wider expansion for Jamaica. So we are excited to see what the capabilities of EV can do in Jamaica. We in our own operations analyze daily, and based on what comes out of a pilot will determine how we will be able to move forward based on the terrain that the buses operate on, the overloading, etc. And that's what the pilot is all about, to determine how do we move forward in the feasibility of introducing more EV mobility to Jamaica and to the JUTC.
The e-bus being used for the test is disabled friendly and includes a wheelchair access feature. Feedback so far suggests that commuters are very excited about riding on the electric bus.
They're very curious about it because, you're accustomed to hearing an engine running and you're accustomed to hearing noises all over, and this is just as silent as your grandmother's sewing machine. So it's very interesting for them, and the feedback has been excellent so far. They keep asking when are we getting more.
The question of when more e-buses are coming is easily answered. What will happen long term will only be determined after the pilot testing phase is completed.
Originally, the pilot is for 6 months, but as you are aware, we have additional buses coming, 5 EV buses and some 45 diesel buses. We are thinking that it is important that we expand the pilot program to 9 months. In that way, we can gather as much information as possible to determine the way forward.
We explored some of the e-buses' amazing features. The Spanish Town depot is also equipped with a charging station to recharge the unit. 3 more charging stations will be installed with the next set of electric buses to be incorporated in the pilot testing. Meanwhile, Quality Assurance Specialist at the JUTC, Barrington Brown, explains some of the technical features of the electric bus.
The unit takes 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours to charge at 80%. So the bus will not go below 20%. That's a minimum. The unit can run on 100% full charge for 225 kilometers, and that's equivalent to 10 hours. For my studies, EV compared to diesel, it's very easy to maintain. Most of our diesel buses have lubrication leaks. Our EV doesn't have lubrication. So we don't have any seals to change and all of that.
During the e-bus pilot program, the dealer will provide technical support for maintenance, while JUTC mechanics will understudy.
It has been performing wonderful because feedback from the driver, Passengers love it, and it's maintenance, almost maintenance free.
The government is committed to driving the quest to preserve Jamaica's environment and people through cleaner technology. The electric bus pilot program is one of several stops on the road to modernizing Jamaica's public transportation sector.
If you no want pop down and fenke, you fi burn mosquito and run with dengue. So no make water cycle in open container. For them to read up under the danger. Usher them out, run them away. Zap them with the zapper and down them with spray. Use mosquito net and mosquito screen. Protect your household, now make them come in. If you no want pop down and fenke, if you burn mosquito and run with dengue. If pain lick your head and your joints and your eye, and you want fever meat and your temperature high, it could be dengue, don't hesitate. See a doctor, don't self-medicate. For some painkiller can make you bleed and you will try to recover and no succeed. We no want pop down and fenke. We fi burn mosquito and run with dengue.
A message from the Ministry of Health.
Born in Stony Gut, St. Thomas in the 1820s, he suffered as a slave. He toiled in the hot sun working and praying for the day he could say, "Yes, freedom come." And when that day came, the day he was free, the plan of becoming fully independent was his next feat. One he accomplished, small farmer, then landowner, to being one of 106 persons on the voters list, he was well on his way. So much so, he became a Baptist deacon in the village, a true Jamaican activist, angered by the injustices and oppression faced by the people in St. Thomas by one Governor Edward Eyre. So, he gathered his people and marched onward they did, left, right, on October 11, 1865, the day of the Morant Bay Rebellion. Over 500 people died, but not in vain. That special day spurred changes in the social and economic conditions of people not only in St. Thomas, but the entire Jamaica. The Right Excellent Paul Bogle, the man who lived and died for his people on October 24, 1865. A man of honor, a man of truth, our national hero.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We would love to hear from you, so reach out via email at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. You can also find more content like this on our website at jis.gov.jm. Join us again tomorrow for another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.